Apparently, there's a hippo that's hungry for a diamond scarab. Here's your spooky spot on the new Jada Toys Scooby-Doo Mummy of Ankha. The terrifying Mummy of Ankha emerges from the crypt with the Scooby-Doo Mummy of Ankha 1/12 scale action figure by Jada Toys. This chilling figure brings one of Mystery Inc.'s most memorable villains to life. With its eerie presence and relentless pursuit of the gang, the Mummy of Ankha is ready to haunt your collection. Unless, of course, you've got that missing coin. I guess at least Shaggy won't be missing his mummy. The mummy did appear in the episode Scooby-Doo, and a Mummy 2 was in the first season, episode 12. So even though I really wish that the Knight could have taken the place for the mummy technically still is a recognizable ghost in Scooby-Doo fandom, and he did appear in the first season of the show. We're going to as well take the tape measure, and then, of course, we'll bring in Shaggy and the Creeper that we've already had a look at. As for how tall the mummy's going to be standing, he's about 6.5 inches in height, working out to be a figure that's about 16.5 centimeters tall. Now, wrapping up, pun intended, the first wave of Scooby-Doo figures from Jada Toys, we first looked at Shaggy. We then moved our focus over to the Creeper. The Creeper, I've got him in the pose that he generally is in the show. Even if he was though standing straight, the mummy is the tallest of the three. Accessories for the mummy, the figure first includes a pair of swappable hands. I'm not really sure, though, if I would have spent the budget to produce hands that he doesn't really have the means to hold anyways, because, of course, the mummy does have bandaged up hands. Whether you want to go with relaxed hands or you want to go with closed fists, the mummy really isn't going to be doing anything when it comes to holding any accessories. I feel, though, my personal opinion, I feel, though, that Jada Toys probably should have dedicated the plastic and the budget. Instead of producing hands like this, I think they should have sculpted and included the hippo instead. Now, in the episode, before, of course, we get to the reveal, the person that actually wants to get the treasure at the very end needs to get an Egyptian coin, and the coin goes into the back slot of a hippo statue that then opens up the front door. Why I said hungry, hungry hippo. Why opens that up the front door, and inside is a diamond scarab. I feel like in a case like this, for the Scooby-Doo ghost, Jada Toys, as a fun little reveal, should have included the thing that the ghost was most interested in. Now, if it's land would be a hard thing to acquire. But if it's a small little accessory or jewel or treasure of some sort, I feel like those things should be the things that include these figures, not necessarily a pair of closed hands that can't really do anything anyways. If for the off chance that you did want to swap out the hands, let's just say you don't like the look of these oven mitts, you just hold onto the forearm, wiggle off the hand until, of course, it frees itself, then take the hand, thumbs still go in whether you're an Egyptian mummy or not, and just pop the hand in place. Super easy to do. But again, does it really do anything more than what it was already doing anyways? I mean, again, if you look at the difference between the oven mitts and the closed fists, I think they're still accomplishing the exact same thing. These hands, I think the plastic should have been going to something else instead. Now, for the reveal of the mummy, it ends up basically being Dr. Najib. Dr. Najib, his whole plan is to acquire the coin that ends up actually as a reference to Shaggy that we've already looked at that also made up this first wave. Shaggy, by accident, accidentally pockets the Egyptian coin. And then when they go to the diner, Shaggy goes then to pay $1.50 and he hands over the coin. So I guess he would have had a 50-cent coin, and it ends up being the Egyptian coin that the mummy's trying to get because it goes onto the back of the hippo statue. That's quickly summarizing through the episode. The episode is still worth the watch if you get the chance. So for the reveal, you actually get the head of Dr. Najib. The one thing I will say, though, about the Dr. Najib head as well as the body for the mummy, I think the colors are off. Generally, though, in the episode, if you've watched it, the mummy comes across more like a gray than it does the white here. So while I do think it's a great looking sculpt of the mummy overall, I think the coloring is just a little bit off. I would have gone more, again, like the darker gray. More of a medium or a darker gray, certainly not the white that we're getting here. The head sculpt looks still certainly good from what little we get of the eyes. It's basically the sound of the mummy through the entire episode. The mummy looks good. I really do like the sculpting of it overall. There are a few, though, things like bandages-wise that you can actually rotate. The one that's on the back of its head, for example, does have posability, so you can move it back and forth or up and down if you want. And then there's one also down below on its leg that also has similar posability. There's one long one that drapes from the forearm to the bicep. There's nothing at all you can do with that. If you're going to be bending anything, you're only going to be snapping the plastic. But overall, though, I think the mummy looks really good. I just think, though, that the color is the one thing that Jada Toys just didn't do right. They did such a great job, though, on the Creeper and Shaggy. I feel like they left a little bit on the table when it comes to the paint. This guy should have been definitely a darker color. So while maybe you necessarily will be displaying the mummy on the shelf with the wrapped up face, for example, if you wanted, though, do the reveal of Dr. Najib, then he does also come included with the alternate portrait as well. I think like the coloring though of the face is too light based on the way it actually appears in the episode. I'm not really sure why they chose the color that they did, but it is though not quite the same color of Dr. Najib's head that we see in the episode. So one thing that actually kind of is cool about this, now when we again looked at Mr. Carswell from the Creeper, with the head sculpt, it basically was just a full head. So let's just, first of all, let's pick up the mummy, just make sure he's standing straight. Let's reach to the side here and bring in Mr. Carswell's head. Now, if you remember when we looked at the Creeper essentially was a pulled off mask that you could kind of put on the top of the bank manager's head, almost as if they're pulling off the mask. The mummy is a little bit different though in the episode. What they actually end up doing is they sort of unravel, take off the bandages till of course they get the reveal underneath. Now what you can do though, which is kind of interesting though with Dr. Najib, is that if you look at the bottom of his face, there's a loop right here for the bandage. So you basically put this around Dr. Najib's face like this, and then you would snap. I'm kind of doing this in advance. I'm kind of telling you guys what I'm about to do. That just wraps around his face, and then you just take the bandages and kind of just willy-nilly wrap them around his face like that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. This will all be, again, more clarified when we eventually take that. Well, we'll do it right now. To change the head out, it's just a case of holding on to the torso. Just something that you can get a good grip for. And watch though the bandages on the back of the head. You just want to make sure you clip that. So we'll just pop the head off the ball joint. And there's one thing that's a little bit different, unlike the Creeper. With the Creeper, both the heads actually had ball joints already in the sockets. With both the Mummy and Dr. Najib, there is no ball joint here. So you want to make sure that the ball joint stays behind the neck. Take Dr. Najib's head, and again the bandage, so this section right here is looped around the bottom of his head, and then we'll just snap that back in place. Just a little bit of pressure. There we go. No, I just dropped the head. Let's pick up the head, back head of Dr. Najib here. Yeah, you kind of want to get this first around the neck. I guess you could really also just, we'll do it this way. We'll pop this just around, then we'll put the dear doctor's head over top of that. I just want to kind of make sure that I've got this on the ball joint. There we go. And then once that's in place, you basically are just going to like wrap. Again, you don't have to, it's not really a rhyme or a reason. That you just kind of wrap it around his face like that. So then if, for example, you had Mystery Incorporated kind of walking in, we'll have Shaggy here. Basically, we just unravel this. And it's Dr. Najib. So that's kind of cool. I think that's neat, the fact that they actually found, similar to the episode, a way to give us the reveal. It's not necessarily a case where you're like pulling off a mask. You're more or less kind of unraveling it to show the dear doctor underneath. Likely though, like the Creeper, I'm not likely going to be displaying the figure with the Najib head. I'm probably still going to be beelining it back to the monster. I just think it's a much cooler way of displaying the figure on the shelf, but you can do whatever you want. Or hey, why not? Pick up a second one of these figures and display one as Dr. Najib, and then one as the Mummy. For the figure's posability, now I guess we'll stick with really the Doctor for right now. Whether you want to go with this or you want to go back to the Mummy, the head is still going to work the same. This has a little more of a harder time to kind of get things going because, again, you got the ball joint for the head, so it can move up and down, and you can, rotate it all the way around. You're just going to have to contend with the fact that there's all these bandages in the way. Get out of the way. There's also, though, if you look further down on the neck, there's a secondary ball joint there, too. So you can also move that all the way around. So there's a ball joint here, and there's a further ball joint down below in the ball, at the base of the neck. As for his arms, they rotate all the way around. There's also an interesting thing, too, and we didn't get the chance to kind of see it with the Creeper because the Creeper was really wearing the jacket over top. But there's actually a crunch where you can move the shoulders further forward and back. But yeah, the shoulders do rotate all the way around. There's a swivel there at the bicep. There is also a double hinge possessed in the Mummy's elbow there as well. And you can rotate these all the way around, hinge them back and forth. Upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. It was kind of more concealed with the Creeper just because, again, the jacket was covering so much over it. It's a lot easier, though, to make it out, though, on the Mummy. There's also further down, there's a ball joint at the base of the abdomen, so you can also rotate it there as well. Legs do split out. They do kind of come across, though, like the legs are a little on the off-proportion side, a little shorter and stumpier. But again, they do split out. There's ball joints there. Legs go forward. They go also back. 3/4 of the way up the thigh, there's actually a swivel cut, so you can rotate that all the way around. There is also a knee bend, but I did notice it was really tight on my Mummy. Not my Mummy, the Mummy figure. But again, there's also a swivel down below here in a place that it really didn't need to be. I mean, it doesn't really do. I guess if you really want to have a side more step, you can kind of turn the lower leg further out. But again, there's a swivel right here as well. Feet move up and down. There's an ankle rocker there as well. And none of these figures really have up to this point come included with ball joints or peg joints on the bottoms of the feet. I kind of really feel like the figures need to have those just so that if you did want to make use of a display stand, even if one isn't included, you can do that. Dr. Najib, I don't think is able to see really what's going on. Let's just move the bandage just up past his head. Okay, now he can see what's going on. And let's also bring in where we've come from, the other two figures. There's the Creeper and obviously there's Shaggy. Still, I don't know. The mummy does technically appear in the first season of Scooby-Doo. It's not really a ghost that appears later on. So I could still say that Jada Toys didn't pick necessarily wrong, but just the fact that the Knight would have appeared in the first episode, I feel like that would have made more of a reason, more of a justified argument as to why the Knight should have taken the place of Dr. Najib. The mummy's still a recognizable character. I don't think I would say, though, that the paint is 100% right. The colors really should have been more of a darker gray or more of a medium gray than the bright white that we get here. They do a good enough job, though, of adding some like wear and tear and aging to the bandages, adding a little bit of a dirty wash in something like the arms, like the waist and lower legs, for example. But again, I think the colors are really a little off on this. And certainly comes when it comes to the accessories as well. I don't fault the fact that they include Dr. Najib's head. Obviously, I still will be likely displaying the mummy, though, with the regular head portrait. I just don't know. Again, I feel like the hands are so unnecessary. The hands aren't really doing anything more by swapping one out and replacing it with the other. I feel, again, I myself, says the guy that's working behind the camera, I have no at all involvement when it comes to producing of toys, manufacturing toys, marketing. I guess we market toys somewhat here on this channel. But from a guy that can only say, I love Scooby-Doo, I would have rather, though, that they had used the budget instead of producing swappable hands that don't, again, accomplish anything. I would have rather myself used the plastic and made the hippo statue. Not necessarily that it needed to open up nor conceal the diamond scarab inside the mouth, but at the very least, I think what they could have done moving forward with future, maybe they could do this with future waves, include the thing that the ghost is the most interested in. It's an easier thing to say, obviously, because the creeper would have just had the briefcase with the money. It didn't even need to necessarily open up. The mummy would have then had the hippo that had the scarab inside the mouth. Something like that. I think that would have been nice Easter eggs. As they appear in the episode, it would be nice that they also appeared with the figures that they release as well. 3 liverwurst sandwiches a la mode. And for $1.50. What a steal. Speaking of stealing, Dr. Najib would have loved to steal the scarab inside the hippo's mouth if it wasn't for the fact that poor Shaggy pocketed the Egyptian coin. Technically, though, if we want to think about thievery, Shaggy stole the Egyptian coin long before Dr. Najib even got his hands on it. Speaking of getting his hands on it, what little chance he's going to have to hold anything. The hands that they included, unfortunately, though, with the mummy, you can't do really anything with. So again, I think having swappable hands just don't make any sense. Swappable hands usually are fine if you want to have like a gripping hand or a relaxed hand, but with the mummy either having the options of a closed fist or oven mitts, I think I'd rather just have the figure display with oven mitts and use the plastic for something else instead. Still, I do appreciate the fact that they include the reveal head sculpt, so again, if you want to go with this look, it's easily something that can be swapped out with the plastic that they're using for these figures. Could maybe, though, the mummy have been replaced with a better contender for Ghost? I still think yes. The Ghost is a recognizable character, but maybe not on the levels of the Creeper. I think, again, the Knight, and I hate to be, again, beating a dead horse, I think the Knight would have been a better fit. Certainly, though, for fans of Scooby-Doo, I think they would have recognized the Knight right away, and they probably had stopped for a second and said, well, I do remember the mummy. I just don't remember what episode he was from. What do you guys think of the mummy? Let me know down below in the comment section. Let's just say, I'm asking you, if you had to replace the mummy with a different ghost, let's just say, what one would you have chosen instead of the mummy? Let me know what your ideas would have been down below. If you guys, in the meantime, did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. If you guys want to stick around for more, I hope so. We're kind of wrapping up things right now for Mystery Inc. Obviously, we have completed the first wave of Jada Toys' new Scooby-Doo figures, but there will be more spookerific reviews coming your way for, yes, the rest of Spottober. So I hope you guys are going to be coming back with ghoulish peepers peeled. Ooh! As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.